Once again, this is Professor Raymond Buck. We're looking at my copyright ladder on the venture that can copyright of the copyrighted Trebco personal internet. And I sent letters to Washington, D.C. I got my copyright. I was trying to get my copyright, and they started playing out games. Nobody would answer the phone. This was back in 2000, 2001 when they started talking about 9/11, and they said I didn't get the copyright, or I couldn't get the copyright because of anthrax. They had the anthrax scare. And so all of a sudden, I wasn't getting my copyright from some funny business, of course. Sometimes I was with a friend of mine. We went to church, and he had a sister who worked for the Department of Education, and I said, hey, I want to show you my software. I don't have time. And we did that for a couple of years. So then one day at church, he said his sister was coming in, and they were going to have a barbecue. He asked me if I want to go, so I didn't know where he lived, so we went to, I think it was a Kroger, and he picked me up. We went there, had a great time. I've never had so much fun in my life. His name is Cliff Cook. He used to work with the kids at Camp Atterbury, something like that, in Columbus, Indiana. Anyway, they started, of course, this shows they delayed my copyright because of anthrax. All I wanted to do was get my copyright so that I can go about my business. But anyway, Mr. Cook's sister came in, and she saw the software. Now, according to him, the next day he went to Washington, D.C., and they had my system up on the big, gigantic board. And they said, who is this guy? He says, that's Professor Raymond Buck. Well, what's this guy doing? Why is he... We spent all this time to... make sure everything was separate, and this guy put everything back together. Well, I wasn't trying to do that. I did what God told me to do. God told me to do the software, so I did the software exactly the way He told me. What are you going to do? Not do what God tells you? So I did what He told me. I'm Professor Raymond Buck, the inventor of the tablet computer, Trebco Tablet computer. And if you click on these links, you'll see the software. But I had to come up with a movie just in case there was funny business again. And there has been funny business with Google and the Google counts. And so you'll see later how Google doesn't even count. When I click, or somebody clicks on the software, somebody can have a goofy YouTube video and it'll be 13 million people. But my software, which should be 100 million people because it does everything, they hit it at 200, 300. But they get caught. I'll tell you about that later. This is Trebco personal internet requirements. Professor Raymond Buck. And once again, this is my invention, the Trebco personal internet. I used to call it the personal internet network because I knew I was coming up with a network. And so, but I wanted it to be personal. I didn't want it to be part of the internet. So I don't like the internet. I wanted an intranet. So this intranet, just an internal network where only I can use it. It was only supposed to be used for my kids and family. Never to be used outside. So Apple and Microsoft, Dell, HP stole my copyright. LG, China, Korea, Japanese manufacturers stole my copyright and started making these units. But the problem was what they stole, because my first wife started getting sick, so we'd have to go to the Ohio State Medical Center, and she would be hospitalized 30 days, 45 days. So in essence, I was a single parent, but I had to keep going back and forth, getting things going the way they're supposed to. And so one of the days she got really sick. It looked like she was going to die. She had a really high 300 and something blood pressure. It looked like she was going to die. And my pastor, who was Aaron Wheeler Sr., and you saw him in the copyright letter. You saw his name. He was my pastor. And somehow he started trying to get close to us. And so we're having problems with her health. And so we, of course, talked to the pastor. And so we started going to his church. Well, anyway, when she got sick, strange things started happening. I used to have this, it was a rack where I had all these software packages I was going to make, and it used to be 100 count. And then all of a sudden you would see 85, 70, 50, and nobody was taking it, but people would be coming into my house. One day, before Pat T-Berry was my representative, John Kasich was my representative. Came to my house, asked for my vote. Same John Kasich that you see running for, that was trying to run for president, he was my representative. So I opened the door, I'm talking to the guy. Sounded like a great guy, sounded like a nice guy. So all of a sudden, I was living Sawmill Ravine, that's in Columbus, Ohio, and I had a membership at the Sawmill Athletic Club, this property owned by Donald R. Kinney. Anyway, all of a sudden, these guys come to my, all of a sudden here's Wheeler. Now he's my pastor, this guy, Kasich, all of a sudden is knocking on my door. Well, anyway, Kasich was one of the leaders in Washington at the same time Bill Clinton was the president, Al Gore. And they changed the copyright law with, sure, Kasich, because they saw the software somehow. When I would go to their Sawmill Athletic Club, I would get a little slushy, and somehow they saw it, and they decided they were going to steal my copyright. I'm Professor Raymond Buck. I'm the inventor of the Trebco personal internet Trebco Tablet. I'm research Professor Raymond Buck. This is the covariant matrix technology I came up with that nobody knows. They even try to Google it, and nobody will ever know what the covariant matrix is. But I tell you, Apple doesn't have it, Samsung doesn't have it, and their systems are slow. And if you don't have the covariant matrix, you better run. That's the upgrade to the software. I'm Professor Raymond Buck.